Just a few minutes. Oh no! 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 Ew!
Why did he have toes?
That is not movie accurate. He has adorable paws in the movie. Oh, that's awful. That was awful. Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Okay.
You can't just show that in a classroom.
Yeah, that's the first thing people are going to see on this recording because I just started.
You started the recording with that?
Yes, I did. We got 4 minutes until class begins, but I don't have a whole lot today, so I'm gonna rig him. You can critique my rigging job.
I mean, I can't rig, so I can't. So it's like throwing stones in glass houses.
Huh? No. What? Yeah, the other one we rigged with Miximo. Yeah. Yeah.
And his face is all like horrible.
Okay. So this is like the groin.
I'm not commenting.
Evan's like, I can't believe this guy is teaching the course.
I would love to be around him.
So readings. I'm doing it for the mini presentation.
How many slides are on there already?
Oh, the Neuro VR
Got back to you?
sent me a little like
Probably. I think I made
A
some.
test?
yeah
Well,
tests.
3 of those are.
Okay. All right.
I could do something.
Is it hard?
For a VR
That could be
thing. I haven't been able to see too much of it.
Okay.
A little work inside.
Oh well. Where is the elbow? This Gumby arms. Look at this. Where's the elbow? Where's it supposed to be?
When
See
you go
shit.
into wireframe mode, you can probably see where there's
I do not see shit.
There's no implied answers. Just give him noodle arms.
Noodle arms?
The lefty bones.
Like, I don't know why, like, you have nothing to like, we're going to town. Wait, you're just out of the line. I want to know what we should switch. What way to switch from option A to option B.
See, it's funny too. Even this text stands out.
Okay, good enough.
I'm gonna rig every single one of his
It's like outside. It's like outside the bone. Okay. Is this gonna get his legs? This bone, like the root bone? Should I not have done this?
I would. Well, I mean, what you can do
Well,
is click the root.
It's too late.
Well, if you click on the root button,
Too late, dude.
really fast. Hold on.
No.
This would extract the actual.
You can make it not deform anything.
What the fuck? What is it again?
So if you go into edit mode on the
Alt P. How do I parent the armature to the shift? Then control? Oh, it's control. Wait, no, it's not.
what are you trying to do?
There we go. I was using Alt. Let's go, dude. Let's do it. This is a pro animator you're dealing with. This is a pro animator you're dealing with.
They like trace the
You should know- Oh!
no!
Oh!
I
No!
don't like it.
Okay, hold on. Wait a second. I can fix it. Okay, hold on. This is the most important one. Okay. Sonic is your friend. Sonic is your friend.
If you use AI, any artist.
I can't see shit. No. What happened? Why isn't it working?
That to me is fine.
Oh god. I can't look away. It's so gross. Why does it have
Yeah, it's like just barely.
What? Look what everyone missed. Oh, the socks are different. The socks are a different object. Oh goodness.
Modeling is
Well, this is what happens when you go off the deep end. Like, what happens?
Okay, it's much better now.
Yeah, socks.
Why are the shoes deforming so much different than the feet are? Oh, the root bone got him, basically. The root bone messed everything up, basically. I should have. Were you gonna have me do like a detached root?
All you can do with it is if you go into edit mode, you
Yeah.
just select just the root mode. You can turn off deform,
Oh,
and you can just make it not affect any.
well, hold on a second. Can we do this? Can we do it now? Where do I go?
Go into edit mode.
I am.
Yep.
Meta
Select it and then go to
Here?
bone
Oh.
properties. Yeah, turn off deform. You have to reparent everything.
Why did they change this?
Because now they don't have any weight attached to them. It also probably would help. I don't know if your legs had foot bones, but if there's not a bone close enough, it might just make it.
There definitely was. Look at this. Yes. Hold on.
Can
Uh,
you select those? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay.
all right. Well, in any case, I'll have to try again later.
Yeah. I've gotten used to like automatically kind of hurts me.
Oh, yeah. Are you weighting them yourself? How are you weighting them?
If you build the character in different sections enough,
So
it's really hard to just weight the gradient tool after the fact.
Yeah.
What character is that? Hold on. What is that?
This reminds me of a Crash Bandicoot character, Pinstripe maybe.
Okay. What's the dingo
I'm not
guy?
sure if that's more expensive.
No, not. Oh yeah. Okay.
Probably more time expensive, less memory.
Okay. Anyway,
It's more time for you to do it.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll keep it as is.
you know how much of this we're gonna get next semester? Like people just goofing off.
Oh, I hope that. That's the point.
Yeah, that's. If people do this in their spare time for fun, guaranteed the entire campus will be full of OP artists.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I sold like 3 more freshman money yesterday.
Thank you.
Sonic can't hurt you.
My friends, one of my friends told me that that you should never resize a root bone, but every time I've done it, I've been really happy I did.
Never resize a root.
Yeah, never resize a root bone.
We should
Or never
resize a root.
never resize a bone
Oh,
like
I
this.
like resizing bones.
Yeah?
That's how you get cartoony squashes. It's very physically taxing. Oh, I hate it.
It looks shockingly almost good enough to be like an itch.io monster.
Yeah.
Damn,
The hands are
Now we need to animate him like we did with this song.
I'm just partway through. Just like,
Okay, imagine the 494 games, how much better they're gonna be when every week we got new characters like this.
wow. Apologies.
Okay. Enough. All right, time to get serious. Time for some.
Sonic.
I mean, the eyes work, but other than that,
It's fine.
That's the worst part.
If anyone in our course next semester made this model, I'd give them an S plus for their final grade. Okay,
and S
Like,
plus, however,
they're-
the honor count.
they're clearly very good.
We get an S plus and an honor count together.
They're much better than me at making models. Okay. All right. So get out of 440. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of funny mode, we are out of EECS 298 mode, and we are into EECS 498 game engine architecture mode. This is our last lecture for the week. This is our last lecture for our Homework 7. Homework 7 has gotten a lot of lectures dedicated to it, and that has some implications for today. So 2 lectures, 3, 4 lectures is more than we need. And so I do not have a ton for you today, but I do have a few things, okay, that may be helpful to you on your homework 7. How many of you have cleared the first test suite of homework 7? Okay, good. Very good. Good. It is it appears to me, based on the data and what anecdotes have come through the feedback, that it is not nearly as hard as it was last year. Some people were saying it's easier than homework 5, which I don't know if I agree with that or if I could believe that, but maybe it is. And I think that this is a homework that you can finish in 1 week. Now you get 2 because I do think it is fairly involved, and it just gives you a nice good break, right? Right in the middle of the semester, good time for a break, catch up on your other courses as well, get some sleep before we then finish it off with homework 8, homework 9, and then the exam. And then we take another break last 2 weeks of the course, finish that up with a custom feature. So today I do not have a whole lot of material for you, but I do have some, okay? Wait, this is 494. 498. First of all, an announcement, and this is on the Discord, but we have new stickers for May and Mags, the game that you play on the top of the EECS 498 website. And if you clear the game, if you get to the to be continued screen, I've run out of levels for you, you get the May sticker. If you get the bad ending and Magna kicks your ass, you get the Magna sticker, and both of them are pretty complimentary. The color palette, the artist did a really good job. If you can believe it, these were 2 different artists. The original artist, my friend Nastya in Montreal, and the Maylin Migiri in Japan, in Yokohama, basically tried to match her art style and create the sister, right? So did a really fantastic job, I think, matching the art style, very cohesive. And so let me know if you reach any of those endings, you get a sticker. One of these endings is way easier to reach than the other. And I expect I might be burning through a lot of stickers. So I hope that doesn't get too expensive, but whatever. Okay, let's take a look here. You get to see my process, 498i. If I type 498i, lowercase I, my custom search engine takes me to the staff schedule, which has the entire schedule on it, at which point I can copy and paste it over to your schedule, and then it will propagate here on Canvas. So that's kind of interesting. But we are, if you look at the schedule, we are right toward the end of the language hosting assignment. You still have, I think, about 5 days, and maybe 4. That should be plenty of time to knock out this homework 7, especially with the office hours that you still have, especially with the discussion section you still have. Hopefully we'll have a very nice homework 9 for you in a few weeks. If anything, because I have been a bit ill lately, the homework 9, I'm not contagious, don't worry. Homework 9 will be, if anything, on the easier side, especially if I run out of time. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens, okay? We have a very interesting engine for you today. This one has quite a bit of history to it. This is the Retro engine, which, if you are a Sega fan, then you will probably already have heard of. This is the engine behind Sonic Mania, but it's also the engine behind a lot of famous ports, famously high-quality ports of early Sonic the Hedgehog titles from the Genesis era, okay? It was made by an Australian fan gamer / indie hacker known as Christian Whitehead. He became famous by creating his own indie games and basically hacks and recreations of the classic Sonic games. So this is very much a case where the fans became the devs, and they did a fantastic job, absolutely incredible job. But the engine released in 2011, it's a very bespoke engine, and it's specifically for re-implementing the Genesis era Sonic titles and their effects. Yes.
Can you post lecture 16 on Canvas? The link is up on schedule.
You might have to refresh a few times. Yeah. Did it already refresh?
Yeah, it's up. I got it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. It was initially created for Sonic fan games, and you can play a lot of these Sonic fan games on sonicretro.com. Or .org, okay? If you didn't know this existed, look at all these games people have made, fan games. There are a lot of people who are really into Sonic the Hedgehog, its entire universe, the entire IP, all the characters. There are many custom fan games you can play. I'm a big fan of mfgg.net, which is the Mario equivalent. That's kind of what I grew up with, playing a lot of crappy Mario fan games. Crappy in the most delightful way. I respect anyone who gets any game finished, especially when you're just a fan and you're just getting started. But this engine that was really doing a great job making fan games to recreate the Sonic gameplay, its physics, its formula, all that stuff, it reached a level of quality where it was able to replicate entire Sonic games. Sega released a few terrible ports of their early games. They got absolutely clowned on for doing so. That's how they got connected with Christian Whitehead, because he started producing examples of what you can do. How do you port to the Game Boy Advance and do a good job? How do you port to the iPhone and do a great job? And so he ended up doing the official ports. They paid him. That got him in with Sega and Sonic's creators. And so I believe he pitched to them Sonic Mania, and they said yes. They allowed him to remaster and remake a few zones from those original Sonic games, but then he got to make his own custom zones as well, like this one, Studiopolis Zone, a Hollywood-themed zone, which is very, very cool stuff. Sonic Mania is the highest-rated Sonic game in a very long time, and it was a very, very fun game. I remember enjoying it myself quite a bit. So the development experience, right? It was created by a fan. The fan was later hired to become official, initially created for re-implementing and porting 16-bit Genesis games and being perfect, basically perfect in its emulation of that era. It painstakingly recreates the physics and visuals of those games, but it also does away with some of the limitations as far as audio goes, as far as rendering goes. If you play Sonic Mania, you will find things that Genesis couldn't handle. You'll find better frame rates than you're used to. You'll find widescreen support, right? It grabs all the best things from those classic titles, and it modernizes it in a very, very careful way, okay? In any case, very, very impressive stuff. And here's the famous port of Sonic CD that made Christian Whitehead famous. 10 million plus downloads, pretty high reviews. Some of the best ports of this game are on your mobile phone, which is a big pain if you don't like mobile controls, okay? But I think it also works with controllers if you want to use those. So in any case, a very impressive engine. I want to show you the trailer for Sonic Mania. Oh, here's an article on it, I guess, or the retro engine, right? I want to show you the trailer for Sonic Mania. So you can get a feeling for why it was successful and what it was trying to accomplish. Here you go. Wait, no, not that. Here it is. Okay. So Sega had returned to this style of gameplay in the past, but never this authentically. And what's really interesting about Sonic Mania is that it also returned to the classic aesthetics as well, which many might decry as old. Sonic Mania does touch them up a bit, but they still have that Genesis 90s flavor. And it was a humongous success. In their conference call, the Sega leadership stated that they had a really, really good quarter because they didn't think this game was going to sell as well as it did. They've since tried to follow it up in a couple different ways and a couple different times, and it hasn't worked nearly as well. Probably because they lost the main developer, Christian Whitehead. He's doing other stuff. He just made a game called Penny's Big Break. Yeah, it's good. I had heard it was kind of like, eh.
It's fun if it's your thing.
If it's fun if it's your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't it the truth. Okay, so good, very good. Cool engine, probably cooler story. And all right. So if you look here, something that is important for you to note on the schedule is that quiz number 4 is on the way. It's coming on Monday, okay? It's going to come on Monday. It's going to kind of capstone Lua, okay? Lua is going to feature very, very heavily on quiz number 4. And so if you haven't taken a little bit of time to mess around with your engine, your Homework 7 engine, and build your own game, for instance. It can be a crappy game. It can be a crappy game like Crash Bandicoot 5, okay? We did on Monday. That is going to be hugely beneficial for you to just get a feel for how Lua works and to cement a little bit more of that into your muscle memory, into your brain, okay? Because a reminder, you will not get any notes that you can take into the final exam, okay? Syntax issues will not cause a huge penalty, but you'll lose a tiny bit of points, okay? Yes?
You don't get like a cheat.
No cheat sheet. You will get a cheat sheet written by yours truly, okay, in the form of the glossary. So if there are any important functions that you definitely need for a question, it's going to be there. And actually, if you're a good exam taker, if you're a good test taker, you can work backwards from that. And you can go look at the glossary and say, oh, this function was listed here, but I haven't used it yet. Maybe I should think about using it somewhere. Maybe that'll give me some ideas. Because it's not going to be there if it's not important. Got to save those trees. I'm really excited about the upcoming exam, not because I finished it, but because we got a new innovation where we're going to have 2 packets you get. One's the answer packet, one's the question packet. So you can actually be writing with your right hand, and with your left hand you could be looking through the pages at the different reference material and the question. It used to be that you had to flip and lose your place, and it was really nasty. These are the kind of things that get me excited, you know? Yeah, that's just how it is. Okay, anyway, quiz number 4. Lua is absolutely huge, as is that component architecture that we can't stop talking about and bringing up. It really is very powerful, and it behooves you to understand why it's powerful. You have to feel it in your heart. And so I would focus on iteration, okay? Do not neglect for loops, okay? Remember the syntax. Remember pairs versus I-pairs, okay? You want to know how Lua inheritance gets set up, okay, and how it works, all right? It's going to involve a meta table, right? We kind of talked to you a little bit about that stuff before the break, so you're going to want to review that if you can. Try and set up your own inheritance. The thing to remember about a meta table, it all sounds weird and funky. A meta table is just a function. It's a function you call called set meta table, and if you put a meta table in there, if you put a table in there, it becomes the meta table. What does that mean? The meta table is allowed to have certain properties like index, __ index, which basically forces the Lua interpreter, when it goes and tries to find something in one table but it fails, it'll look to see if this table has a meta table. If it does it have an index? It does. It'll go to that other table to find it instead. If it finds something, it will make a copy of that thing and allow you to alter it without altering the original copy. Okay? That establish inheritance function that we provide you in homework 7 does all of that, okay? And actually, I would encourage you, there are multiple places where you want to use establish inheritance, okay? Not just to have one table, a component inherit from a base table representing the component type, but with overrides, you can make your life very easy if you use inheritance there as well, okay? Actor templates, okay? You've got an actor that's, going to have a bunch of components that you're basing another actor and its components off of. Use inheritance. You can really, really quickly get that new instance going, okay? All right, I saw some students who were iterating through a Lua table using weird push and pop functions that I had never introduced to anyone. Yeah, that's like hard mode. Don't do that, okay? Just use establish inheritance function and you'll be in a good shape, okay? All right, studies of that stuff, you'll be fine. I think discussion will probably have some quiz review as well, all right? I don't know if we're gonna, maybe I will show you a little bit more of Roblox and how you create things in Roblox, okay? Because that is kind of an interesting thing to show. I last made something in Roblox a year ago and I didn't have time to prep, but we can still see how it goes. You interface with Roblox so often through the web, and the web has the ability to launch programs on your own machine. It will do updates automatically. It's kind of a very elegant way to deal with Roblox. But this is a local program. It's kind of like the Unity editor. Oh, rest in peace, I guess. Yeah, setup.com. They're using S3. Nice. They stored all their updates in a S3 bucket, like me. It's nice to see validation. You know, when I see an error message like that, it's like this multi-billion-dollar company is doing the same things that I'm doing, except theirs doesn't work. Yeah, I am wondering if I'm out of memory. Wait, no, on this machine I have tons of memory, so we're good. Okay, well, never mind. I guess maybe in the future we'll do it. But it is a really, really cool platform, right? It allows you to easily bring down models and meshes and characters. It allows you to upload stuff, and you get a bunch of features by default. Lua is used pretty well there as well, and it's a good time. So I want to talk briefly about exceptions, and I want to do so, and then we'll probably jump into some extra office hours, okay? I promise as soon as we hit homework 8, we're going to get a lot more lectures and a lot more meaningful content. I just need more things to talk about during this period in the course. So try-catch is something you are going to want to use on your homework 7. And you're going to want to use it because, and this is a philosophical point here, you are building software that you no longer control fully. The moment you have allowed other people to provide their own images, provide their own sounds, you've given up some control. What if the user provides a 50 gigabyte WAV file? And it's like 10 hours of recording footage, right? Or outdoors in the wilderness. It's nature audio. Well, they can now blow you up, okay? You no longer can guarantee the correctness of your program unless you add additional logic that checks, like, how big is this file? Oh, we're not going to load this thing. This is way too big, right? Now, we've moved a step even beyond that. We have moved to the externalization of logic. And you no longer control what kind of game, or even really if this will be a game, that your user is making. And your user is going to mess up, okay? Your user is probably going to be, well, it could be a super experienced programmer who's very careful, but it could be a kid trying to learn programming for the first time, okay? And so you want to try and protect them. More than that, you want to try and help them understand when something goes wrong, what went wrong, okay? This is kind of the thing I did with the autograder this semester, where it parses through all of your source code and tries to figure out if you're accidentally violating the spec by using the wrong version of a function, right? And I'm guessing that saved you quite a bit of time. At least, eventually it did. Here's an example of a try-catch being used in the Homework 7 solution. You can use this code if you want to. There is an enabled Lua ref that is basically on the component itself. And we're casting it to a bool and we're checking to see if it's true. If it is true, our component has been enabled, all right? And we can call our onUpdate function. This is another Lua ref. Why? Can anyone remind me why this is here, right here? What is this? Anyone know? We're dereferencing a pointer, and then we're going component.second. Yes?
This is the self ref that you need to pass into.
Yep. Bingo, right? This, it looks a bit fancy, but it eventually just boils down to being the Lua ref of the component itself. This is the Lua ref for the function on the component. This is the Lua ref for the component itself. So you have to remember to send in that self value. I saw some students who were forgetting to do that, and they were blowing up, and they didn't quite know why. So you got to be careful about that. You have to do this if you're writing Lua code as well as C++. So here we have try-catch. If you haven't used try-catch much in the past, basically it's a way to program. It's a programming construct that allows you to basically quarantine a chunk of code and make a statement that this could result in an error, a particular type of error, okay? In this case, the kind of error that we expect this code right in here to cause is a Lua exception. This is a Lua exception type that's coming from Lua Bridge. And if we used a different exception type, there's a very good chance we wouldn't catch the Lua exception. And if we don't catch the Lua exception, what happens? If an exception is caused by the user's code and we don't catch it,
We won't know what to report.
well, we won't know what to report, but reporting will be out of the question because we will be dead. Okay? Our program will crash if we do not catch all exceptions. Okay? And this really is the magical moment in your engine when you cross the boundary right here. You cross the boundary and enter the world of the user. Okay? All those stinky gameplay programmers with all their stinky bugs, we don't write bugs, okay? And so, I quick comment. Gosh, I don't recall if Professor Chen said this in his fantastic 482 lecture, but it was very hard developing operating system code because you had a bug or an error or a crash in your operating system. There wasn't much recovery from that. Okay, that was a very long recovery process, very painful. If every time you make a tiny mistake, it's blue screen. Okay. But we're so used to, well, we write some code and it crashes our program. Well, at least the operating system is still running, so we can relaunch it quickly. But in an operating system, what happens if the operating system fails? You're in big trouble, okay? Well, that same relationship, an operating system taking care of programs, right? We have that relationship now. It's the engine developers taking care of our gameplay programmers who are writing in Lua. Okay, and so we want to take care of them as best we can. All right, so here's a fun example. Here's a fun example from the autograder. Now, this autograder code, I don't like it that much, but I guess it's fine. It does the job. This is a big try statement. Okay, basically, almost the entire program is in here, the entire grading loop. So the way the autograder works is that every 30 seconds or so, it will reach out and look for anything it can grade. And if it finds something that it can grade, it checks, hey, am I ready to grade that assignment? If not, we need to do a bunch of stuff to run the staff solution on those test cases, generate the speeds that we need, generate the outputs that are correct, all that good stuff. By the way, this does assume something. What does it assume? What's the assumption here? all of the correct output is not written by hand, it's generated from the staff solution, i.e., the staff solution is assumed to be correct in all cases. I'm going to venture a guess that maybe I might have made at least one mistake in my life, okay? But, probably not, but maybe. So I hope, if you ever encounter any issues that you think are actually like the spec, this is not to spec, right? Or the staff solution, I don't think it's correct. Please let me know, all right? Because I can usually go look that stuff up, and maybe we'll either need to fix the assignment spec or we'll find an issue with the staff solution. That'd be really great. Over time, it becomes perfect. It probably isn't perfect right now. We then grade, if the assignment is prepared, we then grade the assignment, and we generate everything. And if any issue at all happens in the 10s to 20 functions that are down inside a prepare statement, inside of grade commit, inside of report student graded, we will catch any of them, okay? And they will come out right here, all right? Well, actually, no, we'll throw an exception, and it will come out right here. This default base exception type means basically catch any exception, no matter what it is, okay? It then sends an email to me. That's what the report manager.report error does. It then waits for 20 seconds, and then it also marks your particular commit as causing a malfunction, and then that means it won't grade your commit, basically. This is to prevent your commit's not broken. Your commit is causing the autograder to break. So this right here prevents you from preventing other people from being graded. So anyway, so if your commit ever gets seemingly stuck in the autograder queue, and especially if it ends up with a negative priority score, that's a sign that the autograder has kind of tried to chew it up and it spat it back out. Nasty. Okay? Not your fault. The autograder just couldn't handle it. Okay. So, it's a bit of a dark pattern. It's a bit of a code smell to just throw a try-catch statement over everything. Okay? In fact, using them too often can lead to performance issues, as exceptions do incur a performance penalty, from what I recall, and it also is just not very targeted. If you simply have your main function and you start the main function with try and you end it with catch, right? Like that's going to keep your program running for a while, but you don't want your program to run forever if it's in an erroneous state. If it's generating bad data, bad output, you want it to crash so you can identify the problem and then fix it and then reboot it, okay? But other times, try-catch is used to keep a buggy program running when it's super critical. The autograder might have some bugs, but as long as it is up and running and it can grade something properly, we want it to keep running, especially if I'm not in town to come revive it and fix the problem, okay? So our engines have a new issue to contend with security. It's a security issue, untrusted code. Code that we did not write and that we would never or could never, even with unlimited resources, guarantee will be perfect. Thus, try-catch provides a sandbox, a quarantine for buggy or untrusted user code. This is very often something that you'll have to care about if you're going to allow people to inject logic into your program. Okay? One thing you might also do, you might restrict the kind of functions that someone can run. All right? If you submit your C++ project to the EECS 482 autograder, have I told you my story about hacking the department autograders? No, I didn't? Okay, so I'm a grad student in EECS 588, University of Michigan. It's the Advanced Computer Security course, fantastic course. Professor Halderman did a great job. And it comes time for our final project. Well, you get to decide what your final projects are in graduate school. You get to do research. And so we decided that we were going to request access to the university autograders for all of our different courses. Okay, I'm talking the EECS 370 autograder, the 281 autograder, the 280, 183, 485, 494 did not have one, 482, okay? And we got permission, because you always want to get permission before you start hacking. We got permission to white hat hack these autograders. So I'm going to ask you right now, which one is the one autograder we couldn't break? What was the best autograder in the department?
388, 700.
No, we broke that one. Yes.
Was it 482?
No, that was a really good one, but we eventually got it. The 482 autograder, we broke it in a very nice way. Not completely, but we got it to the point where we could fool the autograder into thinking that our code had executed in 0 time, which makes passing the test cases easier, because I do believe they have performance requirements on them. If I recall, 482 autograder made one mistake. 482 autograder was a high-quality autograder, and it blocked a lot of very nefarious system calls. So one of the nastiest things you can do to an autograder is, and by the way, none of you should be doing this, okay? Because I know what courses you take, okay? Yeah, all right, and I know which university you go to, so don't get any ideas, all right? But one of the most mischievous things you can do is you can send a student submission with a system RM star call. And you know what the system call does? It's a very powerful function you can use in C and C++. It forces the operating system to run that command. You send in a string representing the command. Now, do you know what RM star is? What command that is?
Remove everything in the current directory.
Delete everything everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
Yeah. And so that's a spooky one for sure. RM star. And so if you want to destroy the autograding box and delay a bunch of stuff, possibly delay the assignment for a few days, that sounds useful, then that could be a thing. Now, I want to remind you that in this course, I own your repos. You ain't deleting any history. I'm going to see every submission you make, okay? And we will have the history to go back and find you. So don't get any ideas about this course. Anyway, so the best autograder, the only one we couldn't hack was the EECS 280 autograder. The EECS 280 autograder was written by my friend James Peretta, who just interviewed to join the faculty here. I hope he does. Would be a great, great hire if we get him. He wrote autograder.io based on the EECS 280 autograder. And thankfully, that's the one that we couldn't hack. One of the reasons we couldn't hack it is because they were using very exceptional containerization. They were using Docker. We couldn't figure out how to get through Docker into the containers that were running. This is to say, we couldn't figure out how to get out of the container to mess with the underlying operating system that was running the container. We were trapped. We were contained, which perhaps explains the name. Anyway, so this is a lesson about trusting user code, okay? If you're writing a program like an autograder, like I did a year ago, you have to be very careful, okay? That student code could do anything. It could break anything, even if the student isn't malicious, okay? In EECS 482, one issue we had, and this wasn't really a security issue, but kind of sort of was, every few weeks, a student would accidentally do a fork bomb. Does anyone know what a fork bomb is? Right, and a few of you laugh in the back. A fork bomb is when, like, you inappropriately use fork, if I recall. I've never done it. You use the system function called fork, which will create a new process that runs your current code, I think. And so you've got one process running your code. You got a second process now running code. And if that new process also forks, what you have is an exponential growth situation, okay, where you've got tons of programs forking, and eventually you've just blown out the CPU. You might have blown out the storage space on the server, and now the entire autograder is down, and That's the situation. You know what takes my autograder down? Not fork bombs. Windows wanting to update like every 2 days, okay, and forcing an update on me. I'm trying my best to turn Windows Update off. That's not a great idea, by the way. But yeah, what a pain. Mac does the same thing. Same thing on Linux. I set it up. I managed to set it up so it auto reboots the service and relaunches the autograder. On Windows and Mac, I've not been able to figure out how to do that. It's a pain in the butt. Very nasty. Yes.
Does that mean that every time the autograder went down, 9 times out of 10 it was because I had an overnight update?
Usually, yeah. Yeah, it's really disappointing, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah. I wish it was cooler than that.
it reminds me of a movie where it's like, we're trying to stop this meteor.
Yeah.
I can't do the math. Why not? Windows is updated.
Oh! I remember a speedrunner once faked a Windows 11 update or a Windows 10 update mid speedrun. What they'd actually done is that they had subbed out some of the game's MP4 like cutscene video files to instead be footage of Windows 10 updating. So they got to a certain point in the game, and then it switched to the update screen, and the entire crowd freaks out. Oh! And then a few moments later, it's back to gameplay. So pretty cool stuff. Anyway, so EECS 280 was fantastic. Did exactly what I think you are meant to do. The industry standard. Containerize that stuff. Sandbox it as best you can. EECS 482 had a way of disabling system calls so that you could not make them anymore, and that also worked for the most part, except for vfork. There's a function called vfork. I don't remember exactly how it worked. I didn't hack EECS 482, but vfork was what allowed us to basically complete the test case without reporting any time spent to the autograder. Anyway, the big one I hacked was the EECS 370 autograder. And I'm going to tell this story because I'm pretty sure that they have upgraded it, but it was a very, very funny time. This is another empowering story about how nice it is to learn a couple languages. Because once you learn a couple languages, learning a new language is a matter of minutes, not hours or days. Same thing with a new engine. The more engines you learn, the easier it is to learn, for instance, Godot, and get familiar with it in minutes to hours instead of days to weeks. So I get going on EECS 370. EECS 370 used to be, the autograder was distributed to us as a script. This script was a Perl file. Anyone ever read Perl language code? Pretty obscure language these days, but Perl is famous for having powerful text processing capabilities, especially in the eras like before Python showed up. So it was a Perl script. And what you would do is you would run the Perl script and you would point it at a directory. The Perl script would zip up that directory and it would then send it to the server. Okay, a back-end server on campus somewhere. That would then unzip your folder and then compile the code, run the code, and report your grade later. And so I wanted to know more about how it was sending this stuff. I went in and I looked at the Perl script. Now, I can't read any Perl, but within about 5 minutes, I found how the Perl script was sending this directory, this zipped up directory. It was sending it via email. And the way that it authenticated who you are, who is sending this code, was via a forgeable from header in the email. This is to say that you could edit this script and do something incredibly powerful. What can you do with this script if you are a hacker, if you are evil? Yes, back?
Like any students might be.
Who is my sworn enemy? Because that is the name I'm going to be doing all my hacking attempts under, just in case I get caught, right? And so that's authentication is a really important thing. Thankfully, with this course's autograder, you authenticate through the EECS GitLab server, which has already been set up to be working with the web login system, Kerberos, and all that stuff. So I just get that for free. That's part of why we use the GitLab EECS server. Otherwise, I would need another way to authenticate you so that you don't submit as someone else, right? Now, that's not a good start, okay? Another thing we discovered was that we could run arbitrary system calls on the other end. So we could package up a system RM star in our code base with, and then, send it to the server where everything is stored as my biggest enemy, okay, impersonating my biggest enemy, and then the entire server would have been deleted and destroyed. Now, we didn't do this because it was being used for a class at the time, and we didn't want to bring the server down. We'd have some splaining to do after that one. But that's not good, okay? And you know what I did? The next thing I did? One thing you typically want to do is firewall your untrusted code as well, your untrusted software. One reason is that you can exfiltrate data very easily if you don't do that, if you don't block sockets. So I set up a quick little Java server that was just going to take in text and basically just print it out to screen for me. I got a quick, cheap Amazon cloud instance, EC2 instance, installed a server, had it running on a port. Okay, I've got a port, I've got an IPv4 address, and I wrote a quick bit of C++ socket code that basically, as the autograder was feeding the test cases into my program, it immediately sent the test cases to my server where I could read them. And so I got hundreds of test cases that way. And that is a huge security hole, right? Not good at all, okay? And containerization would have blocked all of this. So this entire thing was, all of this I'm describing, I had finished in about 30 minutes. And that's, I would say the 370 was in the roughest shape of any autograder like a decade ago, okay? Anyway, I think everything's using autograder.io now. I would not want to redo that experiment. I'd have to work much harder these days. And the reason I bring all of this up is that you've crossed a very important boundary, and please never forget security, okay? Your users will do things, okay, that are dumb. They will do things that are mean and evil. So especially if you've got a multiplayer setup, you have to be very, 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 very careful. Taking in external code and allowing it to be compiled and run, very, very big security risk. So Docker, stuff like that. Maybe one day I'll have the EECS 404 cloud computing course, and that'll have Docker stuff. Does EECS 485 do Docker? Anyone tell me? No?
No.
Okay.
We can talk about it in a lecture.
Oh,
That's
okay. All right.
Once.
Okay. I think that'd be really cool. I want that course to be like an extension or a sequel to 485.
Yeah, I don't know if they talk about Docker in other classes, but they should somewhere. I would hope so.
Definitely, definitely. The amount of things that my Timber research team students, we're building like a web-based game engine like MIT Scratch. The amount of things they've learned about the cloud this semester, crazy. Okay, crazy. All right. Okay, so let's keep going here. This is what a lecture looks like before I've made the lecture, by the way. It's just a bunch of bullet points. When a user writes buggy code, one interesting philosophical question is, how should we respond to this? What is our responsibility as the engine programmer to try and help them out, help them understand where they erred? We have the option to simply crash the engine, just let it burn, right? And if the user has access to the source code for the engine, that might allow them to fix some bugs, okay? But it would be very painful. And if they don't have access to the source code, like with the fabulous A2 engine, when you download this, what are you going to get? What are you going to get? Will you tell me this right now, everyone? What's going to be in here? A .exe and a couple DLLs, and a default game and a license. Let's play this game right now. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is the template game. It's a rollerball. Can you believe it? And so, by the way, if you ever want to distribute your game, this is actually like how you can do it. How did we do it? Basically, your resources folder are all the assets that make your game do the thing, right? The levels, all the content, all that. The engine executable, the .exe and the DLLs, you just kind of package them up and send them along with the resources folder. One thing I'm thinking about right now is also packaging in the tiled level editor, because if I ever have a like Unity style integrated editor, this is going to be it. This is the level editor that actually we used to make May and Mags. This game up here. So designing the levels, all those levels are right there in the tiled editor, so I can very quickly and easily change them. But anyway, okay. So let's get back to it. We could catch the issue and ignore it, right, and move on. It's kind of the show must go on approach. There's an error, whatever. We're just going to let you run the next frame. This is not good, okay? The user will probably get very confused. They will not realize that they wrote an error. They won't realize that some of their code isn't getting to run at all, okay? And so what we really should do is we should print an error message and try and move on. We do let them know something bad has happened, but we do keep the show running just in case, okay? Just in case is really important, all right? Here's an example error message. What do you think about this?
What the hell?
This is, as far as I know, this is a C++ error that's being caused by improper use of templating. This is an error that related to basically generics in C++. They tend to create some crazy errors that are very hard to understand. Okay, so that one's not so good. Okay, what about this one?
Better.
Yeah? I have no idea what Discourse CDN is and why it's in Europe. So I'm going to quickly use ShareX to create new screenshots and host them in my S3 bucket.
Is the S3 bucket we're getting like the F00 backblaze stuff from?
Oh, sorry, Backblaze. Wait a second. No, this is going to be CloudFront. Yeah, CloudFront is basically a CDN in front of an S3 bucket. Backblaze is for other stuff, non-images, things like videos, I think.
You also use it for some text stuff.
Yeah. How about this? Okay, this is CloudFront. What do you think about this? It's a little bit better, okay? It is red, which is very important. That distinguishes it from other error messages that might be coming down the console, so it grabs your attention, okay? It points out right here, it points out what game object is causing the error, okay? Amy Chipley, okay? That is a reference to Greek Tragedy, my indie game. It tells you what file, what Lua file, and what line in that Lua file led to the error. It also tells you what kind of error that error was. In this case, we tried to call a function that doesn't exist. It's a nil value. This function does not exist, okay? And so, right, it's really, really important, an important part of UX. We complain all the time about how Unity's defaults are not very good, okay? You often get crushed by a new feature in Unity the first time you learn it because you have to know a lot about that feature before you can use it, okay? And so if our game designers are more productive and solve their bugs faster than Unity game designers, what's going to happen long term? Yeah.
They're going to work with our product more because they can make a game as well.
Yeah. Well, I would say that if a game designer uses the A2 engine and they're able to move faster and iterate faster than designers who use the Unity engine, I should suspect that in the long run, stochastically speaking, we expect to win out over Unity. The games that use my tech will be better than the games that use the Unity tech. Thus, more people will use my tech, and it becomes a positive feedback loop. And eventually, I take over the industry and enjoy my duopoly with Epic Games. Okay? We can rename the university. We can rename the college. Okay? The A2 Engine College of Engineering. Okay? Okay. So we're doing a few things here that's really good UX. We're telling the user which actor is responsible. We're telling the user which component is responsible. And we are coloring it in red, right? This is something you can do with, oh gosh, what are they called? They're command codes. They're specific strings of hex values that you output into the terminal. And it basically tells the terminal that, hey, the following text should be read, okay? And a lot of different terminals have different features like this that allow you to change how things are rendered and how things look. So good UX, but not required in the homework, is also printing the stack trace. If you look at this right here, it does tell you what line of code blew up, but it doesn't tell you what line of code called the function that blew up, right? All the way up the stack. So we don't have a stack trace here. You can get it, but it's not required. In fact, you won't get the points if you put it in. But that can be extremely useful as well. Question, how can you tell what actor is currently running? Do you know? You are iterating through all your actors one after another, and you're calling the functions on the components of that actor one after another. So your engine, your C++ engine, does have knowledge of who is running right now. What actor am I trying to run? What's their name? How many components do they have? What component on the actor am I trying to run? What key does the component have? Closest thing a component has to a name. And so you can actually provide that information. And if you do, your users will love you, okay? Unity does this, did you know? If you click on, let me see right here. Where's that error? Yeah, if you click on an error in Unity and it's associated with a component on a game object, the game object that caused the error will be highlighted in the hierarchy view, okay? That really can be very, very helpful. Okay, exception performance. If no exception occurs in C++, this is usually a zero cost situation. So just having exceptions in there doesn't hurt your performance, but actually triggering an exception or catching one is usually a pretty slow operation, okay? So you do want to be careful. There is a table approach that achieves this effect, and it's on page 39 of this ISO report. Okay, a technical report on C++ performance. All right, this is pretty dense. I think maybe I should put it on the exam. Let's see here, 39. You're going to read all this, okay? You're going to read all this, and then you can easily beat the staff solution. Let's see, 30. This is the kind of document that makes me wonder if I should be teaching. Let me see here. Okay, the table approach. Typical implementations using this approach will generate read-only tables for determining the current execution context, locating catch clauses, and tracking objects needing destruction. Typical ways in which the table approach deals with the issues identified in 5.4.1 are as follows. Try block. This method incurs no runtime cost. All bookkeeping is pre-computed as a mapping between program counter and code to be executed in the event of an exception, but not in the event of no exception. Tables increase program image size, so you're basically trading memory, RAM usage, but may be moved away from working set to improve locality of reference. Tables can be placed in ROM, or on hosted systems with virtual memory, can remain swapped out until an exception is actually thrown. Okay, automatic and temporary objects with non-trivial destructors, no runtime costs associated with them, Okay, thrown expression. The statically generated tables are used to locate matching handlers and intervening objects needing destruction. Again, no runtime costs are associated with the normal execution. Okay, right, so there are some space costs, and I think there's some other approaches that do have runtime costs. But anyway, yeah. If you are a language designer, this is a very, very serious topic. How can we make sure that we're going to provide great features to our users? We're going to provide super, super nice language features and also functions and standard libraries that are going to have great performance. In the old days, in the early days of the C++ standard library, performance wasn't that good, and there were bugs in the standard library. It's one of the reasons that if you go to write C++ in the Unreal Engine, did you know you cannot use vector? You cannot use std string. Unreal provides their own versions of these important data types. They wrote those versions themselves. They focused on performance, but also one of the reasons they wrote these data types is because the standard library ones stunk. They just weren't very good. They weren't very fast. They didn't have the features that Unreal needed. I have heard it said that when you are writing C++ in Unreal, you aren't writing C++. You are writing Unreal++. Okay? Because it does start to feel like a bit of a different language. Unreal Engine, C++, also uses a ton of macros. Okay? And it's very picky about, for instance, how it wants you to name your files. If you fail and mess up you're going to blow up. You won't understand why. It's going to be a big pain. Okay? Anyway, so kind of interesting. All right, so does anyone have any questions that I can answer on any of these topics we've gone over today? Okay? And again, I appreciate your patience. In the future, we'll have cooler content here and more of it. Evan?
Is that tile thing that you showed off earlier, is that like integratable as a visual interface for our engines?
Hold on a second. Where did I put it? Where did I put that thing? I put tiled somewhere today. Crash Bandicoot 5. I put it in Crash Bandicoot 5. Okay, and so resources. Now we have the DLLs. And now we have the engine. What I also have here is a tiled project. I'm actually going to delete that. Tiled session and a, yeah. So here is the tiled engine and everything that makes it run. Here is the actual executable for the editor. And here is the launch scene editor shortcut I made for it. So I can run this game by double-clicking right here, okay, like normal. Ah! Whoa! 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 And I can double-click this right here. Hopefully my users would see it. Oh, there is an editor. Double-click, and here it is. Open up, tiled. Can I find like a cool sprite sheet? So find a tile sheet. Okay, let's try this one. Hello? What? Where'd it go? All right, let's try this one. Oh, this one's open game art. Yeah, this is going to be easy. You know, I recently tried to retract an asset on open game art. It was voice acting. There's a bunch of voice acting. And the actress who had done the voice acting work was nervous that she was going to be included in an AI like voice bot because she has she has open source voice files that I commissioned from her a decade ago and that I put up there, and now she wants them down. So I went and deleted them or requested their deletion. The team at opengameart.org said, yeah, sorry, dude. It's public domain, and so we're putting it back up. And isn't that it's kind of scummy, but it's also very open sourcey. Okay? It's like, no, you do not have the rights to hide this from the world. And I was like, oh, that stinks. Sorry, lady. So yeah, just remember that whenever you use open game art. Or even better, create your own open game art so we can drive them into the ground. That'd be really cool, actually. In fact, given that all of their assets are public domain, you could write a scraper. Right? Why not? A little taste of their own medicine, maybe.
Scrape their assets and then say, oh yeah, every asset here is still to be run by the person. So if they want to take it down themselves, just let us know. We'll just take it down.
Yeah, we're like ethical open game art. But it stands like by definition, an ethical version of open game art will have fewer assets than the non-ethical version. So it seems like we would be doomed to lose out in the end unless we just outperformed them, which I'm sure we absolutely could. Okay, anyway, enough of them. I want to create a new project. Okay, I'm going to call this game. See the things we do to like consume time. Okay, well, we got a game here, Crash Bandicoot 5. I did not type Crash Bandicoot 5. What? Weird. Okay. I want a new map. Yeah, I want a new map. Okay, examples. That's cool. New map. All right, orthogonal, 30, 20. Sounds good. 32 by 32. Okay, I need a new tile set. I've got this map, but I don't have anything I can put down. So I need to go in. Where are my tile sets, actually? Oh, here it is. New tile set right here. Click. And now what I need to do is I'm going to name this. I'm going to name this just my tile set. I'm going to browse for an image, sheet 1, okay? And I'm going to save. Yeah, I hope this is all right. Yeah. My tile set. Okay, here it is. Nice. All right, great. So now I can click around and explore the tile set. I can edit it, I can add to it, whatever I want to do. But here's my map. And now what I can do is I can go in and I can actually just draw and I can create a cool little area here. Okay. And how do I create something else like underneath? This looks not that great, but okay, so I can create a little tree here and I can make some platforms so you can jump up to it maybe like that. Okay. You can do a lot of advanced things that will allow you to automatically generate really good-looking environments using tile sets. And so, stuff like that. Got a little facility here. Okay. I can go fill it with the bucket tool. Boom, like that. All right. I got a little face. Not sure why. Here we go. You can also do things like you can create an object layer, okay? When you create an object layer, now you have the ability to stamp objects. What is this? Insert tile, right? Yeah. You can just put objects anywhere arbitrarily. They no longer have to stamp to the grid. Each object that you select, how do I select? Here we go. Right? No? Oh? Oh, no, that's not it. How do I select an object? Anyone know? Let me see here. Ah, here we go. Yeah. So I can move my objects around and edit them. I can even scale them. That's kind of cool. And each object can have custom properties in here. Does this sound familiar to anyone? You can imagine, for instance, that we could have a property called type, okay? And this type, could be a component or something like that. And we could start putting in overrides. We could start putting in overrides for things like, I want to float, and I want it to be the starting HP for this enemy. Okay, and I want this enemy to start with 10 HP, but maybe the next enemy will have less. Okay? In any case, there's a lot you can do. And last year, we had like 3 or 4 students integrate Tiled to be their integrated editor for their engine. So their engine had the ability to read the map files. So this TMX right here, let's call this stage 1 .tmx. This is an XML file. If we open it up in Notepad++, okay, here we go. If we open it up in Notepad++, it's just very basic XML. You have this layer with data in it. This data object has your grid. This 61, 0, 10, 2, 3, right? All of these things will map to tiles in another file, so you know which tiles to spawn in. And then we have our object layer as well. So we can have objects that have their own unique positions, width and height values, all that good stuff, including this object right here, which has some custom properties, which can be used to, for instance, say, what components should this object have, right? So it's pretty cool, and you can go even deeper than this. You can actually set it up to where every object of this lava block type automatically is known to have a bunch of properties in there. That's just what this type of object has. So that can save you a lot of work. Yeah. I forget how to do that, but you can definitely do it. I've done it in the past. Okay. So, yeah, tiled is very powerful. Okay, so questions. You had a few other questions. Yeah.
So we made like the errors red, and that only works on like Windows, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Why don't we like do it on Mac and Linux? Is there like a way to do it on them?
I don't know if maybe I was strapped for time, or maybe I just didn't really test it on those platforms. So what does it look like on those platforms? Does it look really weird?
Like, it just says the what is it?
The hex codes are visible?
Yeah, like
It looks ugly.
whatever.
If I recall, I think I looked into this once, and it was very annoying to get it to color on Mac and Linux. So I didn't do it. But actually, I think it would make sense to request a function that does it and basically changes how it outputs the report based on what platform you're on.
Yeah.
Because I want you to use more of those compiler, those kind of platform-specific pre-compiler directives, right? So that you've got some code that compiles on Windows, some code that compiles on Mac, and some that compiles on Linux. So you can just get used to having that different code. It's a good idea. I'm going to take it down right now. Because we got 17 more minutes to burn. I hope you had a long question, whoever's next. Okay, hold on. Let me do this real quick. Okay, I'm going to bring it down here. Okay. Why not have different terminal codes be used on Mac and Linux? For homework 7, report error function. Okay. Okay. Okay, Evan?
I considered with homework 7 going through all the places there was like an exit 0 in the last homework.
Yeah.
Replacing the try catch, but I didn't want to break anything on an autograder. Is that are like error codes going to get checked on any of the further autograders?
I think that there are still requirements. For instance, application.quit requires that you do exit 0. And yeah. Yeah, so like the engine specification says that if someone tries to load a scene that doesn't exist, we quit immediately and we can't move on. You might, I can't really think about better UX in that situation. Like, do you want to try and just find what is the first alphabetically sorted scene available and just load that instead? I don't think that's the right answer.
I was thinking just not load the new scene.
Okay.
But like if it's the first one and it's not there, just crash.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to crash. You're not really crashing. You're emitting the error message and then ending execution right away. In Unity, that is an exception. In our engine, that's like end the program. That's really important. Okay. Okay, anyone else? Okay. All right, everyone. Good, we burned a lot of time. I hope that was not completely useless to you. And we will return to very big lectures talking about Box2D. Very, very fun library, very fun topic on Monday. Okay? And I will be doing office hours. I'm going to step out for just a moment. But at 6 o'clock, I will be walking around for 2 hours until 8. Tonight, I'll be updating the autograders. I don't think much changed. A few of our test cases, especially in Test Suite B, with the scene transitions, got a bit more deluxe. So they're a bit better at identifying bugs now. Okay? So anyway, yeah, thank you all for coming, and I'll see you next time. Take care, all. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, come get your stickers, okay?
You can prove that I've lost the game or taking that word.
Yeah, I need proof, sorry.
Would you be willing to write me up there? I don't want to touch any of the money. Thank you.
that one really big test case for Linux go away?
Which one?
Wasn't there like a C3 or something?
Yeah, C3 is toast. Yeah, you know why? Because it was crashing my Windows auto reader. And I'm not sure why. I
I
have to.
was submitting. I still haven't done my scenes yet. I started, but